Throws podcast back here with episode 2, season 2. We're coming to you live. Big weekend this past weekend, James, right across Canada. I mean, you and I were in Lindsay for the first Ontario provincial event, but we had regionals right across the country from Alberta, Quebec. Well, Quebec was an ACQ regional, Newfoundland. A lot of big performances too. I think one thing that really stands out for me, and this is pretty much, say, Ontario, Alberta, but the juniors in our province can play now. And I'm not saying that they couldn't play before. Gage McMillan, I mean, he was the only one. Gage was actually here this weekend, and he was like, "Where was this when I was playing?"
Right. Yeah. Took a little bit of time to finally get that junior program really moving, but it seems pretty consistent now that at all of our big events we are able to run that tournament for the younger guys and girls. So it's good to see. Looked like there was quite a few. It just seemed like there was more juniors hanging around, even in Lindsay. I know it was a little bit of a smaller crowd, but it seemed like there was lots of kids moving about in the building there.
Yeah, and excuse me. I think the main takeaway for me is that, say last year, the first provincial event, Jude played bigs for the junior plaque, right?
Yeah.
We tried to get it done. We just couldn't get enough players to play. I think only Jude was signed up, to be honest. And I mean, that was a huge event, over 100 teams.
Yeah.
Lots of players there. Gage has played conferences where it was just him and Mason Stewart,
Right.
and Chris Tremblay's son, like small events. And I think halfway through the year last year, we started to pick it up a little bit. We had junior events at 2 of the Opens and Nationals. We had junior events at the remaining 2 conference events. And now coming into this season, we had, I think, 15 juniors. The game to get to the king seat, both players, Landon Chavera, Nicholas Gilbert, both shot high 8s. The finals match, they both shot high 7s. The semifinals between Landon and Maddie, both high 7s. The skill of our juniors has gotten really good.
Yeah, I think it's a mix of a few things. I think one, again, it's just continuing to grow. I mean, we're not at peak levels yet. We're still on the upward trend, and I think a little bit was I found the first couple times with the juniors they were like smaller aged kids.
Yes.
And now we're having a few teenagers mixed in there. So hopefully that continues to grow where we still see the younger kids like Jude and some of the other guys come up where they're still growing. And then, like you said, Nicholas Gilbert there. Some people maybe that age jump in too to continue to grow the program and then to keep evolving it. So it's been good. Like you said, the first conference last year in Ontario here, we weren't able to run it. The next 2 we kind of enticed it with that free play with the pro event.
Yeah.
Which I think kind of helped a little bit. But
made the entry
glad
feels real low. Then you had that bonus event for the extra games. And this one too, right? Adam gave them some rounders games.
Yeah.
That's what you got to do.
I think you just had to get a good start, and Adam did a good job at keeping it moving here with getting enough kids to keep it going again this year.
Yeah, and so I mean, obviously the junior division was fantastic, that one event. But now let's talk about the juniors once they got out of that event, because they kept on rolling. Nick and his partner Justin Spatafor won competitive blind draw. Nick had a great run in competitive singles. Maddie Shea won intermediate singles.
Right.
Jude won novice singles.
Right.
Juniors taking down the singles events as well as having great showings in their event. They're coming, and we're all going to be in trouble. just
Yeah, I
like
think
they are in the States.
seeing some of the younger guys with results like that, I think it just continues to help grow the game. They can go back and tell their friends, I played this and I won. You
Yeah.
know, there hadn't been that sort of thing before. So again, I think it's just all moving in the right direction for the juniors. Like you said, we had two novice and intermediate champion, both junior players.
Yeah.
Nicholas, I actually got to watch him play in comp singles because he had played two guys
Scotty.
from my club,
Yeah.
Scotty and Kyle Hill.
Oh, and
So
Kyle. Yeah.
yeah. So he's looking like a great player. He's going to continue to grow as he's not that far into the journey here. So again, definitely for the junior program, I think everything's moving in the right direction, and hopefully we can keep it going with we got a big event coming up here in Drummondville for the Open, and and maybe some of the other conferences can get their junior programs rolling too.
Yeah, because I mean, we'd be amiss if we didn't mention Ludovic Daig as well, right?
Yeah.
He's a fantastic player. Has a roll game. We played against him in the teams event, and he was playing singles against Dave Dean and got 11 on Dave. And they both throwing fantastic. He's going to be a hell of a player, also.
Yeah, Ludovic easily could have been the junior representative in the pro program as well. He went all the way to the wire with Mason Miller last year in Ottawa. So yeah, Ludovic is definitely a fun player to watch and works on his game. And again, another junior player that's going to probably continue to develop and be whooping all of us pretty soon.
Yeah, and then so I got outside of the province a bit, and I went and I checked out Alberta, and a couple of father-daughter team from Saskatchewan, Glenn and Presley Bohm. They made the journey over there. So Presley is 16 now, I think. I'm pretty sure.
I think I've seen Presley play before.
You probably did in Laval.
In Laval, yeah.
Yeah. So she played open singles, went 2-2. Her two losses were to Aaron Giroux and Craig Halford. Her overall PPR for the event was an 8.23.
Beauty.
And this is what we're getting now out of our junior players. And I was talking to her dad today, and he said that they had a little bit of trouble getting used to the slow board at the start to get rolling. But, she played, I guess she gave Craig a 15-point lead, got him to 15-13, and then Craig took over from there. But, I mean, Craig has won a pro event, and, this junior from Saskatchewan rolls in there and, almost takes him down. So and the more and more we see this, the more we will see it, right?
Yeah. Again, we're just talking about one junior player from out west, and hopefully they can continue to grow that program. I wasn't sure what we seen at the Open there. Was there a junior singles tournament at the Open?
Yeah,
I don't remember.
There was Mason won.
Okay.
So we didn't have it at the start. We didn't have the registration. So we I think there was just Jude and Mason and maybe two other kids signed up. So Craig and Rob reached out to the 3 or 4 clubs and then the CCL clubs as well and said, listen, if you have a kid that wants to play, we will pay for them to play.
Right.
Matt heard that and just made the event free.
Right.
So just let's get the kids out to play. We were lucky enough that Deerhurst had all that sponsorship money, so he took a small cut out of that so they'd have a little bit of prize money in the event and just made it free so that we could actually hold the event. So because last year in Calgary there wasn't a junior event.
No.
So this year there was. Fantastic. And hopefully in Quebec we'll have one again. We had one last year. I think it was Felix Morin and Gage battled for the championship. Gage won.
Yeah.
There wasn't one in St. John's. I've been talking to Sean and Derek a bit, and maybe we'll have to try the same kind of thing where it's free just to get kids out. I know Mason and Jude will both be there, so we only need another 4 kids. Maybe Ludovic will be there.
Yeah, again, I think you just gotta keep working on it a little bit here, and hopefully we can get it all the way across the country where we have the juniors rolling.
Yeah, and I think we're definitely taking huge strides, right? Because we weren't even at this point, not even close a year ago, 18 months ago.
Right. Yeah. So hopefully with the last two opens here, I feel pretty confident in seeing the program run in Drummondville at the Open, and hopefully something can happen for St. John's that we can get it rolling out there.
Yeah. Another big takeaway from this weekend was the women. Obviously, they took down 4 of the 5 singles divisions. Lana won open. Brandon tried to get her. Brandon had to double dip her, won the first game. Brandon was up 19-12. And Lana just bared down. I saw Brandon miss a few blocks left and right. And then Lana is, she's lights out when she can just run the board, right?
Yeah, I caught the tail end of that game, and yeah, exactly how you explained it. It looked like Brandon just missed a few bags at the end there, one left, one right, and then Lana stayed right down the middle in a tight game and finished it up with 12-on-8 for the win. I mean, I think she's been the most consistent player in Canada.
Oh, she has. She has. I mean, as far as I'm concerned, she was the best. She is the best player in Ontario right now.
Yeah,
And honestly, it might be a little bit close, but it's not that close. Every event she wins.
yeah,
If you go to every event you go to and you win, you are the best, right?
yeah. So for especially for Ontario, but even in her losses, she's never going to see her shooting like a bad game at a 6-5 and get blown out of the water. It's always like 21-18. She still shot a 9-1-5, and
Mm.
it's like she just stays right down the middle and doesn't take very many risks and really makes you work hard.
And she'll wear you down. I
Yeah.
don't think there's another player either that plays those huge round games like here in Canada. And she'll get into the 24, 25, 26 rounds, and she's just plugging away. She never really gives up. You can never count her out of a match.
Yeah, she definitely is in it for the long haul when you're lining up on the boards against her. But I mean, if that's what it takes for her to win, then
Oh yeah,
that's what she's gonna do. So
yeah.
if you're lining up against her, you got to be prepared for that.
And James was Finley was out of my league last night, and he said the same thing. Just he tried a couple blocks, missed, and then she just takes advantage.
Makes you pay.
Yeah, because very rarely does she follow you over to the side, right?
No,
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 no, she
no.
just goes right on in. Yeah, so we had Lana take that down. Um, Singles, advanced singles, Jen Baker out of Tilsonburg.
Yep.
She beat Larry Bone. I think Jen had the queen seat. That just
Yep.
went the one game.
Yeah, I think it was just one game. Yeah, I don't think Jen lost a game.
Yeah, so that was the only one that went just one game in the final. And then Brianne Lefebvre out of Revelry in Brampton, she took down competitive singles.
Yep.
She had the queen seat as well, but Daryl Lucio from Dirty Birds in Chatham, he won the first one. He was throwing lights out like 9.5 or something.
Yep.
And then Brianne sailed in and got the second one. And then Maddie Shea, the local girl, from Cannington, and Jessie Garvin, right? I think she beat Jessie
Jesse
Garvin.
Garvin. Yeah.
Yeah, and she had to double dip him.
Double
And
dip. Yep.
yeah, and she had a big crowd there of supporters, obviously, being local. And the kid, you know what? Watching Jude play, and I've watched the matches back a couple times because it was pretty. You and I watched the game together, or both games, and it was pretty special. I do feel a little bit bad for George in retrospect because he had hit some amazing shots, and there wasn't a peep out of the crowd.
Yeah. He
I was
banged a couple of airmails and nobody said nothing.
no one no one even made a noise.
Yeah. It's a
He
tough
oh
spot to be in for him.
yeah, he had balls of steel there on that one. Like, off the board, and the game was all Jude had to do was board it for the win, and George was trying to do anything he could to score a couple points on him. Banged an airmail, crickets. Jude bangs an airmail right after him, and the crowd erupts. And I was like,
Yeah.
oh man.
Yeah. Yeah. Tough spot to be in if you're George there.
Yeah. Rob Ayers just sent us a little message there and said that the Okotoks Regional actually held a juniors event.
Oh, awesome.
Yeah, 7. So like so that would just be local points. But it doesn't matter, right? John does the same thing in Delhi. He has a good little junior program going there. You run the event, and there was a kid from Edmonton named Noah. I'm pretty sure he was at the Open. I think
Okay.
he's the one that finished second to Mason, and then Jude was third. And so they had 7 kids. So yeah, I mean,
That's great to hear.
and I know that the Mad Hatters are doing a bunch of kid stuff too. So the more and more, I'm starting my junior program on Friday. I got 8 kids signed up. I have 2 juniors that play in my league regularly, so we have another 6 coming. And then Clayton is starting his back up again, I think, in a couple weeks.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Love to see the junior program keep moving forward and keep growing. It's going to be, what pushes the game along here. So growing that division is going to go a long ways for the big scheme, the grander scheme of the game here in Canada.
Yeah, and I know like Steph Paquette, who from Timmins, like where Nick is from. Nick is one of Steph's students, and so he started a high school program, which was Mondays come after school. They played singles mostly, like a round robin. But he was talking to Clayton too, because I mean Clayton obviously runs high school tournaments in the Lindsay area, right in Lindsay, and talking to Steph, and they're going to talk to the school boards about Steph bringing a team down for the next one, because this is all getting sanctioned in that area right now. But also talking to Clayton this weekend, that's something that really is that was what he really loved doing with cornhole was the kid stuff. So he's going to keep trying to push that high school program, and when we can bring in more schools into it as well, it makes it more viable, and then also more people see it, right? It's more visible.
Yeah, just a lot more exposure going through those avenues there. So good on those guys for sticking out and putting the work in and trying to grow the junior division here.
Oh yeah, no, it's definitely a lot of work. I know the first time Clayton did it, it was completely free, and a lot of parents unfortunately just use it as a bit of a babysitting service, right?
Yeah.
Drop the kids off at the door and came back in 2 hours. But I was afraid of that, so I just said I have 6 dates booked, and they're not all back to back. It's from now until the spring, and it's $20 for all 6 dates, and just hope to get some kids interested in the game, and then they can just join my league. I mean, honestly, this is it's an all age thing, and I mean your venue does a lot. I mean, even though it's a bar, kids can come play in your venue. Jude came and played there.
Yeah. We've when we first started, we had a couple teenagers coming in and play.
Yeah,
Just kind of phased out over the summer, and they never came back. But like my daughter's gone in and played a couple of times when we were running social events. So,
yeah.
yeah, we can definitely have juniors in our venue playing. I don't know if Masons might have played in there too a couple times, just regionals and stuff over the years. But yeah, we can definitely have juniors come in our venue and throw. We haven't had as much luck with it so far, but hopefully moving forward here with the growth of it all across Canada, we'll be able to find a couple and get them going here.
Yeah, you'll get them for sure. I mean, your venue is fantastic because it's full service and they treat you guys so well. But from the outside looking in, people might think it's not junior friendly because it's at a
At a
bar.
bar. Yeah.
But I mean, it really is. Jude loved it there. I mean, he must have had about 4 pounds of wings.
They got a lot going on like outside of Cornwall in there too. So they have all the upstairs with golf simulators and stuff. So
Yeah.
more kids are getting exposed to that. They can play like games like the virtual reality style games up there too. So I know they do a lot with big brothers and big sisters there too. So um, again, hopefully we just continue to grow the program all the way across the board here.
Yeah, and honestly, I mean, if anyone's listening out there, bring your kid. Even if they say no the first time, just drag them along with you. Because when they get the bug, they're gonna keep playing.
Yeah.
The first time I took Jude to an event was because his mom told me she wanted the weekend alone, and I had to take him. and they had mini boards there. And then all of a sudden he got hooked on minis. Then he started throwing big. I mean, and the rest is history, right? Like, he just loves it.
Yeah, it's not hard to get hooked on this game. So yeah, just that's the key, I think, with anyone, not just the juniors, but anyone getting them out once or twice, and then you know, they definitely get the itch to keep playing.
Yeah, sweet. Darren just piped in from Saskatchewan, and one of his league members runs some free cornhole sessions at their high schools in Regina. So that's right across the country. I mean, people are taking this by the reins and running with it.
No, it's good. It's good to see.
Awesome. Another so those were some great performances. I mean, Glenn and Dave came in and won doubles again. I think Glenn and Dave have. I think Glenn in particular has won about 4 conferences out of the last 8. So
Yeah,
big
it's
stretch.
definitely one to see.
Yeah. And was there any other performances that stand out for you, Rammer?
I just think in general, just seeing the level of play. I remember coming out to the first time I played a conference, I think was in Stroud when Matt was running it. It's near the end of the year there.
Yeah.
And just seeing the level of play. I know we had a smaller group than probably what most people anticipated this past weekend, but just seeing the level of play and seeing some of the numbers from the players, it's just goes to show you that the game is on the rise here, and the skill level all the way across the board is really moving along. So I would say that's probably my biggest takeaway from the
Yeah, I've
weekend.
never seen the stats that high at one of our provincial events.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, you're right.
it's good to see everyone's moving forward. Everyone's getting better, and we just keep filtering the new players in and moving everybody along, and it makes for a really fun and competitive weekend of playing cornhole.
That's right. Big story out of Alberta. So, their regional there, all 3 Alberta pros were in the event. Peter was actually playing with Aaron Giroux. So, Aaron's the conference director or the provincial director out there in Alberta. And Peter and Aaron take down doubles. Then Aaron gets an early loss in the singles bracket. I think Craig put him down there. He runs through the whole thing, double dips Craig, takes it. So Aaron with both the singles and the doubles win. Really high PPR games. I mean, he's definitely his game has come back. I noticed last year that he was struggling a little bit. When I would look at matches or whatever, or even at the Open a little bit, but he's definitely on fire right now.
Yeah, I've seen Aaron a few times, and we have 48 pros, but it'd be easily you'd be able to see him fitting into that field at some point in time here. So great wins for Aaron. Is it really all that surprising? No, not really.
No.
I mean, Aaron's a really good player. So good on Aaron for getting the wins, but I'm not too surprised to hear that Aaron's a really good shooter.
Yeah, really good. I mean, he just missed out on getting into the pro bracket in Calgary.
Right.
And did his dad make it in this time? I know
can't
he did
remember.
last year in Calgary. I can't remember either. But yeah, both of them are incredible shooters, and his mom plays as well. It's a whole family affair out there.
Yeah, that's awesome.
It's great to see. Yeah, I mean they had a stacked open bracket there, with Peter, Rob, Craig, Aaron, and then you had other guys like Philip Lloyd, who was at the Open. You had Glennon Presley from Saskatchewan. So that is the first mid-season regional that has been held in Alberta. I saw them announce another one today for the end of February. So it seems like Alberta's trucking right along.
Yeah, I know last year they didn't have too many of those style of events, regionals, conferences, and stuff. Again, we just got to keep moving in the right direction. So it's good to see, that they're getting their regionals on track here and giving those players the ACL experience, and hopefully they keep moving forward and keep growing here.
Yeah, I mean, when we had that league in BC start up 2 weeks ago, and they had great numbers on week 2. So, I mean, obviously, cornhole is alive and well in BC to begin with, but now we're moving over to some ACL leagues. Love it.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, moving east. We had an ACQ tournament in Trois-Rivières, and the champ is back. Simon Dallaire took down blind draw, took down doubles, 120 team field. He's still on that run.
Yeah, I mean, he's just on a heater here, and you know, confidence in a game like this goes a long ways. So when you're constantly getting those big wins or you're shooting really well, you go into every game thinking you have a chance to win. So, when Simone walks up to the board right now, I mean, he's probably thinking, I got this. I got this going. I'm in a really good position here. So confidence goes a long way. And right now he is just riding a lightning bolt. So good on him.
Yeah, his partner in doubles was Stéphane Lavoie, who that was a new name for me. I'm sure we've seen him
Somewhere.
They beat Bibo and Francis Mantha in the final. So
Nice. So two names we're familiar with.
That's right. Two great players. Champy was there. Poudret was there. The boys from Saguenay were not. I mean, Saguenay is super far away from everywhere in Quebec, it seems. So I think they kind of stick close to home.
Right. No, that's good. It was a big event, and seeing Simone get another win, I mean, just kind of solidifies the type of season he's having right now. So good on him, and hopefully he can keep that going coming into Drummondville here.
Yeah. No, I'd you'd be silly not to bet on him. That's for sure. Then so there was that big ACQ event. They have a regional in Drummondville this weekend coming, and then Cornhole Newfoundland had their regional last weekend as well. Dion Kuza beat Andrew Spencer in the singles final, and Andrew and Matt Mearns won doubles. So
Devils. I don't know who. I thought I seen the blind draw. Was it Andrew again on the blind draw? Him and Matt maybe, or was that was
Andrew
doubles?
and Matt were in Bring Your Own Partner doubles.
Okay.
But Andrew is in the chat, but I'm not sure. Maybe he'll let us know. But yeah, the blind draw, Andrew. I mean, he might have won as well. So I mean, it's very possible.
Yeah, it looked like the field out there. I mean, you could really see, there's professional players, and they were all over the podium out there. So the pros definitely having a good weekend out there in that regional.
Yeah, I wonder if Spencer will ever beat Kuza. What do you think?
Not when it matters. Maybe in a garage game.
Yeah, I think he's just dying for a win. Yeah, so I mean, this game as it keeps growing and we get weekends like this where we have super high skilled competitions from coast to coast. This kind of stuff is what gives me the energy to keep creating more content and trying to bring us all together, keep exposing more people to the game. Like, I mean, you and I both really, really love this game. We love it for more than just the playing, the people, the atmosphere, everything that's involved with it, right?
Yeah, it's for me, it kind of took over for baseball, which was like a lot of, I'm there. Yeah, I was there to play baseball and stay competitive, but a lot of it was about the camaraderie of hanging out with the boys, right? So love getting out to the events and seeing people and, going and have some good food and, checking out a hotel. Good. Staying away, checking out some new places and stuff like that. Maybe down in 70 diet dues, whatever you got to do to keep it going here. But yeah, no, it's fun. It's a great group of people that you get to see each and every time at these events, and that's what really makes it fun.
Yeah, no, we had a fantastic. I had a fantastic time this weekend. I think the funniest part for me of the whole weekend was it was right after 9 and Dave lost the semifinal or the quarterfinal game, and it's like Dave does the fist bumps and comes off the court, and he's like, Okay, can we do trick shots now? Because that would really make me happy.
Yeah, there was lots of space this weekend to get and just throw bags, and I think it opened up, different opportunities to go throw bags with people that maybe you normally wouldn't. So I
Yeah.
feel like at sometimes like events like that, you get some different interactions with people you might not normally chat to or people you don't always get to see. So it really makes those events fun when you bring everyone together like that.
Yeah, it's funny. So we started setting up the camera because I told the guys before that I would like to get a little bit of content for some trick shot stuff, and it all started with us all trying the trick shots, and it just kind of ended with us setting up trick shots for Dave to do because
Yeah,
it doesn't seem to matter what it is. Like the harder the better, because he just gets super focused and he won't stop until he hits it.
right.
Like a couple of them were crazy, like the bar of soap that I got him to knock onto the other board to go in the hole. And then
Yeah,
I put the chair in front, and at first it was just bouncing the bag off the chair into the hole, and I think he got it on his second try. So then Nyan's like, "Oh shit, maybe we should put a bag on the." So he had to do a push off of the chair. He does it. Then, oh shit, maybe we try a bar of soap off the chair, and he does it.
yeah, that's what I mean. It's just like you get around in that kind of setting and you can have some fun. You see a lot of guys doing like that pile up game and stuff like that too at some of the bigger events and just having fun with it. So it was a good time in Lindsay.
Yeah, and then I know when we started doing it, we started doing the trick shots. I just see Marty. Marty starts creeping over. He's like, "Oh, what are you guys doing?" Because he wants to try them too.
Yeah,
It's I mean, having fun is contagious, and then watching Dave hit these shots, and you're like, "Oh, gotta keep trying it." But then I just threw on the Nine had the camera set up, so I just practiced my slide shots on the board
perfect.
next to it. Yeah, that's my trick shot, just throwing the bag in the hole.
Yeah, yeah, that's about all I can do. So
Yeah. Well, it depends if your thumb gets locked up
yeah,
or not.
yeah,
As long as you can open it up in time,
we're good.
then you're laughing. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's when it stays locked, and next thing you know, it's fluttered over onto Stevie's head.
yeah, basically,
Yeah.
basically, yeah.
Yeah, no, I think this weekend showed me a couple things. Cornhole is continuing to grow locally, regionally, this province, across the country. I think just that perhaps maybe the model that we currently run needs some tweaking. I think 2 years ago, we didn't have that many big events, right? We had one open, we had a couple conference events, and that was it. So people that wanted to play super competitive cornhole, wanted to go to big events, they all went to all three of those events. So all three of those events were just jam packed. We were on the same point system back then, so we had lots of Americans coming to the opens. Our provincial conference events were just jam packed. I think now we're seeing more people interested in playing leagues. I know my league numbers are up like crazy. My regionals personally have never been better than this season, and so we're seeing that participation locally grow. And unfortunately, at that provincial level, I think it's a bit of just overload on those big events.
Yeah, I think having not missed an open yet so far, you know, some of those original opens were all the Ontario players really carrying the load,
Yeah,
especially out in Calgary and St. John's the first couple of times. You had a lot of Ontario players going. And then I still think that with the pro program, it's had been heavily based out of Ontario and still, when we went to Drummondville last year, there was a lot of Quebec players, but still was still pretty heavy Ontario.
yeah,
So I think especially with see that kind of I don't want to say burnout, but in some degree like just changing maybe just changing what some of the players want. I mean, we were coming off just playing um, an open a month ago, right before Christmas,
yeah,
and then trying to go into a conference. I think the point structure has a lot to do with it too. So
Yeah.
before we were asked to play, like you'd mentioned, we'd run three. You were asked to play two of the three, and they were moved around in locations. Now you're asked to play one of two, and so far we've got one kind of that was more northern in Lindsay, and then one a little bit southern in Simcoe.
Yeah.
Maybe the north guys are just thinking about playing there in the south. Yeah, I'm not sure what
And
exactly.
that might be okay.
Yeah,
I mean, honestly, that might. Our province is giant, so if we
yeah,
have one in the northeast and one in the southwest, and you'll have a little bit of crossover, but mostly it's just regionalized. But like now you have 5 regional directors worth of players at one and 5 at the other, with a little bit of that might be okay.
yeah. I also think a big thing um, that that maybe hurt some of the numbers is the elimination of the top 100. A lot of people had put emphasis as being in the top 100 as their goal. I know Adam announced it a little bit later on that he was going to do a top 64, but I think that top 100 really held a lot of emphasis here in our area. We're something that gave a lot of different skill leveled players
Mm-hmm.
a goal to
Mm-hmm.
chase during the season, and kind of taking that away. I think that may have hurt hurt a little bit when it comes to some of these bigger events like this.
Yeah, so let's answer that. Top 100 was an ACL thing. It was a conference thing in the states. They would have 4, 5, 6 states that belong to a conference.
Yeah.
In the states, it was just high level advanced players that would make the top 100 because it would be the top 15, 20 per
Yep.
state, right?
Yep.
In Canada, our conference originally was Ontario and Quebec. We didn't have any leagues in Quebec at that point, so it was just all of us from Ontario. Because we didn't have the numbers and we had super high participation, we would have comp and intermediate players that would make the top 100.
Right.
That would never happen in the States ever. As we expanded, again, they split the conferences. Quebec got their own conference, we got our own, and we all had our own top 100. So again, it was the same idea, right?
Yep.
ACL decides to get rid of the top 100 as they move from a conference structure to a state provincial structure.
Yep.
And I mean, got rid of it as a yes, you have to do this, but kept it more of a
If you
on
want
the
to.
on the provincial director or the state director could do what they wanted, right? You could do a top
Yep.
50, you could do whatever you wanted. Daniel Vines is still going with the top 100 in Quebec. Adam decided to do a conference championship type or a provincial championship type thing, which is the top 64. The top 64 will earn a jersey, and you'll play one day in September, singles and doubles. Anyone else that goes to both events also is allowed to
Yeah.
participate at that event, right? So you'll
Yeah.
have, your top 64 players in the province, plus you'll have anyone that went to both events.
Yeah. I think what maybe some of the lower level players wouldn't also understand is that as we continue to grow here in Ontario, and I'm sure you would see this in the other provinces too, is that those lower level players may not have qualified for a top 100 anyway.
Yeah.
Now, being that there's so many open and advanced players, or some of those you would see intermediate players getting into the top 100 in the first couple of years. Now it may be like only the top, 15 or 20 comp players in the whole province, plus the advanced and open players. So,
Yeah.
as you said, the structure's kind of changed, but in all reality, the format and who would have qualified, I think, would have changed drastically too as we moved forward.
Yeah, no, I
Much like
agree.
the American states, where if you're not an open player, you were never qualifying for the top 100. You didn't have a chance, as you have, 12, 1,300 players in one state or one region.
Yeah, yeah, no, you had to be a good advanced player,
Very good.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, being as this sport is so young in Canada, especially, I mean, it's young in the States too, really, but there's going to be a lot of growing pains and trying to find the right thing. There's also a lot of burnout. I mean, you used that term earlier, burnout, and you weren't wrong, because when you push, and you get the sport super addictive, so you just want to play all the time, and you're going to, maybe you live in Southern Ontario, where you live, and you can go to 4 or 5 league nights a week, and now you're playing a regional, every weekend or 3 weekends out of the month, and it's a lot. And then all of a sudden you're just completely burnt out from doing it, and then you stop altogether. And I can count a ton of guys I haven't seen in a while that's what happened. Guys that I would see at every big event and I haven't seen, in months.
Yeah, I think it's we are growing, but the cycle of players is gonna change out as it would with any recreational sport. I think some of it is burnout, some of it is just changing what guys want to do. Like maybe some guys are just saying, I'm just gonna play local and a regional here and there. It doesn't mean that they've stopped playing. We just might not see them at all the big events. Maybe they, like we've talked about, like maybe they went out to an open in Calgary, and then they've chosen not to do anything until later in the spring. So the numbers are definitely growing at the local levels, and our regionals all seem to be doing pretty well. The Opens a little bit different this year, I think, with the point system change, with kind of not enticing some of the Americans to come as they would have been enticed to come before for chasing that point system,
Yeah.
and possibly becoming pro players through the standards there. But again, yeah, we're gonna have to cycle through and figure this out. What's the best formula as we move forward? Like you said, we're still young and we're still growing, and we're trying to figure that out. What that system is, I'm not quite sure either. I think it's a work in progress. We just have to find out what works and keep to that.
Yeah, no, and Lynn just brought up a good point in the chat, and it's definitely something that you and I have talked about before. Is she was talking to another director this weekend and said something about a top 10 in each division to kind of keep the lower levels involved. And I mean, I think it's great. I just think personally, if you're a top 10 in intermediate, you're not going to be an intermediate for long. So now you're a comp player, and how do we take those points and prorate them for comp and just right down the line? When you're number one in comp, you're going to get bumped up to advanced.
I think if you're number one in comp, you are not the bottom of advanced anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
there's like they overflow with each other.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Lynn said there. I mean, that's the kind of things that we need to brainstorm and
Exactly.
figure out what is the best best way to move forward with all this. Again, we're trying to figure it out as we go here, and there's always lots of discussions about what that is. Like me and you talked about it a bit on the weekend. One thing I think I would like to see is just kind of figuring out something and kind of going for a little bit longer, not so much of the constant change.
Yeah.
Maybe getting the program, a 2 or 3 year run on a set structure and kind of go with it from there. Cause there's always, people are mixed up on, I need this. How many regionals do I get? How many locals do I got to have? How many da 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 da? I'd really like to see maybe where we find something and try to run with it for a few years to see how it works out, and then make an adjustment off of that.
Yeah, no, and I mean I do agree. I do. I think there is. I think that we do need to make small changes. I think we need to make changes for next season, but I also think that it's our jobs as local and regional directors to keep our league,
keep our players engaged,
healthy, right?
Yeah.
And if I learned anything today when people were getting all those emails about the player engagement points, is that nobody reads the player's guide. 100% no one reads the player's guide. That they got this email and everyone addicted to cornhole, so players in the States too. I mean, they're no different. And our own players here in Canada, what does this mean? But if they had have read the player's guide, it's all broken down in there.
Right.
but they don't read it. I mean, it's my own players too. It's most players don't read the player's guide. Like, Geoff, how many regionals do we need? Well, it's been the same for the last 3 years that you've been playing. It's still 6 of each. And then it's like, oh, really? Oh, I didn't know that. Yeah, man, it's all in the player's guide. So
Yeah.
now I've decided, so now that we're 3 months into the season and I've answered questions and then followed that up with, you should really read the player's guide. Now it's just read the player's guide because there's so much good information in there anyhow.
Yeah, it's definitely a helpful tool that's designed for the players to have access to, questions and get the information that they're probably looking for before they have to have a discussion with anyone, a director or anything of that sort. So yeah, it's a good tool, and I think that the ACL is trying, like, by putting in that incentive program by how many events you play and what style of events you play and that sort of thing, and that's new this year instead of giving out those bonus points.
Yeah.
So it's a little bit different, and again, I think we're just trying to figure it out and figure out what is the
Yeah.
best path, and that's a great example of the ACL trying to do that.
Yeah, and that's it, right? When the ACL's mandate this year was that club level keeping their goal was to keep those lower level
Club
players
level moving. Yep.
yeah, get your clubs healthy and then the rest will follow, right? Because that is the base, the foundation of this whole thing. And for
Yeah.
me personally, I've never had higher numbers, so I'm trying to keep that base and then get players interested in playing bigger events. And there wasn't a whole lot of travel for this event from Northern Ontario. Like, last year we had a large contingent for all three of them. I think another point to make is that this one was pretty close after Christmas. A lot of
Yeah.
people don't have a lot of extra money, 2-3 weeks after Christmas. And Adam's just
Especially with the open too, like being 2 weeks before Christmas.
That's right. And Adam's just doing the best he can here because we had an open in October, then we have an open in
Remember?
December. Then we have an open in February. He has to get two of these things in. So he goes January, April, trying to put it kind of in between. Really, he couldn't have scheduled it any other months, right?
Yeah, being on
Really.
the end of the grouping that had to do this last year, it's not an easy task. Finding buildings, finding
Yeah, you guys
when
had
they're
three
it's not only
last year.
finding a building, yeah, it's not only finding the building, it's finding it available, finding it on a weekend that makes sense and is away from opens and other sorts of things that are going on in the cornhole community, larger fundraisers or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
Adam has found a way to schedule two events. One of the biggest complaints was we don't like playing at the end of the year. Well, one of the reasons why we continued to play at the end of the year was because that's when the curling clubs become available,
That's
which
right.
is normally a large enough space for us to host events.
Yeah.
He's gone and found two venues where we didn't have to, we're not playing into June, July with these big events. So that's good on him, but we need the player support to come out and support the conference here. And and that can be across the board. I'm sure the other guys in the other areas don't always find it as easy to hold large events, during the winter season. Even being honest, in Canada here, we're mostly running our larger events in hockey arenas and curling clubs. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's it. Trevor just had a quick question for us there. He just said, with only one club in BC, can we hold a regional, assuming we need a regional director to do so? So, yes, you need a regional director to do it. You're a local director right now. If you wait about 10 days, the regional directorship is about 30% of its original price, and you can 100% hold a regional.
yeah, it would be great to see those guys get going out there. But
Yeah, whether their players can get their regional points, see what it's all about. I'm expecting with all the regionals going on in Alberta that we can expect some announcements of a provincial event out there too, so they can get those provincial points. And really, one counts. If they ran one this year, that would be all they need to do. So I've been thinking a lot about the point system, and for me, I think one provincial event only is the way to go. And I just feel like
One provincial event counting or one provincial event period?
period. It counts. One provincial event, the provincial championships. It's in April. It counts. It's the only one that counts. There's no way to get a higher score afterwards. It is what it is. I also want to see I mean, we have four different structures, four different point structures to our overall open points, right? You got your locals, you got your regionals, provincial, and your opens. This is to open points. So I think that each one of those areas is equally as important. I think that we need more local events to count for more points. I think that the regionals could even be a little bit less. And I think one provincial, one open. I think that the players that are going to play, I mean, and this is up for discussion. I think that the players that are going to play 6 regionals probably play 8 regionals. And then if you made it 5, that you would still get the participation in the other ones. You might not. I don't know. I think it would also give some regional directors a bit of slack. They could run 5 really good events throughout the year, and that's it. Instead of thinking they had to run, 8, 9. I mean, you run 10 regionals a year. I'm pretty sure you're the only regional director that does. It's a lot of work. You have a great venue. Your venue is free, which is another huge plus, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, they're great. They're great events. Me and Jude came down to one of your regionals. It's fantastic. We had a blast. But I think for a lot of guys, that's a lot. If they could run 5 really good events.
Yeah, I think like we talked about a little bit earlier, I think we're trying to figure it out, and we're still trying to tweak it and make it right. And I'm really not sure what that formula is. I think there's definitely a lot of room to have discussions on what the emphasis should be, and where the emphasis should be. I mean, it does seem rewarding to get your points out of local, regional, provincial, and open. So I hope that is something that doesn't change moving forward. That you do have to play at all 4 levels of play to construct your points. Yeah, I'm not quite sure. I think sounds like you've thought about it a lot more in depth than me. I think that for the most part, we do see a lot of regionals die off once we, here in Ontario get into camping season and outdoor sports season. You see a lot of the directors kind of die off once it gets to around, that starting of May, June, July. It seems a lot more quieter. So I think it was a good move for Matt to jump the nationals into July and give players a big event before the season does close. But yeah,
it's a long season, right?
Yeah, it's long. Realistically, I mean, for some of us, there is no off season in cornhole.
Yeah.
As the end of July comes, and then you're starting to, if you're a director, you're starting to organize that aspect of it, and you're paying, for your fees, and you're lining up your leagues, and you're lining up your, you might have to start picking events. Like we have to pick our event dates really early. Most times I'm like 3 or 4 months out picking dates. I don't even know what's going on in my actual, I have a life outside of cornhole. Most times I don't know what's going on in those months when I'm picking dates to run my events. So,
yeah,
I think the format you suggested, maybe that is something possible.
Well, what do you think about more locals? You like that idea?
I like the idea of more locals. I would have liked to see something more come out of the CPI stat.
Yeah, so I think it's coming. So is Christmas.
Yeah, but I like Christmas. My Christmas tree's still up.
Nyan just took his down.
I would leave this thing up till like July. I wouldn't even care. I love Christmas. My biggest thing
I
obviously,
want more locals. I want more locals. I want to keep
yeah,
my players engaged locally. Like you said, come springtime, people are starting to bail on league. I think if we give them a reason to keep engaged, they'll be around. I have a lot of players that are interested in tournaments. I want them to keep coming. I mean, I have a lot of players that are just interested in league as well. For me personally, I'd love the season to end on June 30th, start back up again October the 1st, and that was it. We get a full 3 months off.
yeah,
I mean, I shut my league down first week of June, and
right.
we take the summers off. I play cornhole all summer long outside, and I put a lot of work into cornhole in those
Yep.
7 months. I need the break.
Yeah, I think that's a fair assessment. Again, like I'm just not sure what that magic formula is for the point structure. I do feel like the changing of the point structure definitely, I think, affected numbers at is going to affect numbers at the Open. So, I mean, we still have two more.
Yeah.
I think it's going to affect the numbers at the Open not being as high as they had been previously, and I think that, I mean, I think the conference numbers are going to be down because of the formula too. So I think it's a combination of both, and it's just working through this and then trying to find that magic formula to keep everybody happy and engaged in the program.
Yeah, I'll be interested to see what the numbers are like in April. I'm hoping that they pick up. I think maybe that location there might be more players in
I
that.
think we have. I do. Like I talked to a couple of guys about it, just after the event, and I think that there are more players located in this area
Yeah, I think so too.
within that hour and a half drive, um, than there was maybe at that one. Doesn't mean it was a bad choice.
No,
Like
no, God, no.
our location last year in Newmarket was the biggest. We had 129 teams in
Yeah, super
Newmarket
central.
last year. It was gigantic. So, yeah, again, it's figuring these things out. And like we said earlier, Adam, did the best that he could trying to find a location and a venue that works. It's not easy.
No, and
Sometimes,
you ran a hell of an event. I had so much fun,
yeah, it
especially
was
with me.
smooth.
Yeah, so smooth.
The event, it was on time and smooth, and everything went well that way.
Lots of
Yeah,
games. I mean, we
yeah,
had warm up games and stack bracket, and I mean, for a lot of guys, that added value of those extra games is super important to them. Okay, for me personally, I hate it. I want to go straight into double elim, no stack brackets. That's all I want, right into her. I'm not sure if I'm the minority or not, but that's what I like.
yeah. I like more games when I'm struggling and they don't. I'm trying to figure it out. I don't
Yeah,
like a lot of games when I'm feeling good because I want them to count.
yeah,
uh, yeah, I think you just try to give you the best
yeah. That's
bang for your
it.
buck, right?
That's it.
So again, it's not easy to run these large events.
No,
Sometimes you show up to these events and they seem like, oh, anybody could do it and must be really easy. It's not, and it's not easy to organize it. It's not. You got to front a lot of cash on some of these events too to run things like this, and there's a lot of moving pieces with these things. So it's not easy to run these events.
no, no. I mean, like you said, big event, and then all the moving parts, and then the unknowns, and then you're planning for 100 teams and what's going to happen, right?
Yeah,
Yeah, no, I think we take this season and we run it, and then the powers that be will sit down and see what tweaks need to be made. But just me looking at it and looking at the numbers, I think we have more players playing in. And I mean, and most of the stuff that we talk about, we try to do a bit of research and hit every other province, but what we know the best is Ontario, obviously. So we would have to look at the provincial stuff after and just see what we think would help. I'm super hoping that Simcoe is better attended. I hope that Nationals in July is better attended than last year, and I think it will be, because last year it was a non-points event. It was in the off season.
Yeah.
This year it's the last points event. Anyone that is pushing to become a pro and they think they might have to do, they're gonna be there trying their best, right?
Yeah. Yep. And also gives you a kind of like a big event to conclude the season. Like you end out on a high note instead of playing like scrambling to get a last local night in, or maybe I might be able to squeeze in a regional before the middle of July. Like this gives you a closure on your season for
I
all
love.
levels of play.
Yeah, James Finley made a good point actually. He said he thinks the stack bracket helped keep the attendance up for the finals, and he's right, because you go 0-2 and you're gonzo. You're playing through the stack. Most of the stacks ended right when the finals was getting going. People are around, stick around to watch the finals. Bigger crowd there. That's a fair point there.
Yeah, I like that aspect of it. How many times I won a regional and you're playing, there's three people in the building, the director and the guy you're playing.
Yeah, no,
Like
I'm usually there at the end.
that,
I'm the director.
and that's it, right? Three or four people in the building. So yeah, I think it made for probably a little bit better atmosphere for some of those finals. There's lots of people watching Brandon and Lana, lots of people watching Jude's game. I didn't really hang around too much on Saturday after my tier 3 performance. So I was out of there, hit the Papa John's and
Oh,
back to
that's
watching
right. You
football.
were in tier 3. I forgot. I didn't see it because me and Jude were in tier 2.
We were hanging out with all the pros in tier 3.
Yeah, not me and Jude. We're up in tier 2, and then we
Big
got our
big shooters.
and then we won our first game in bracket too,
Nice.
against another father son duo, the McLeods out of Oshawa.
Ooh, ooh,
Then we lost the
nice
next
little
two.
nice little W. Happens. Happens.
Yeah, yeah. No, so I mean, I think that this is gonna have. I know you would like to run with something for a while, but I think we're always good. I would love not to see anything major, but I think that if we have a low attendance again in Simcoe, I think maybe something major has to be done. Just taking those points, and I mean, my idea was that all four of those divisions are all worth 1,000 points, however you want to break it down. So if you have 20 locals, 50 points apiece, 1,000. 5 regionals, doubles and singles, 1,000. Provincial, singles and doubles, 1,000. Open, singles and doubles, 1,000. So provincially, each section would be worth 33%. Open points, each section would be worth 25%. Maybe it works, maybe it doesn't. I don't know.
I mean, one thing I would suggest, and you've seen it, I've seen it in the other provinces, was just capping attendance.
Yeah.
Maybe that's
Smaller
something that
venue.
has to go to a smaller venue. Everyone wants the room and everyone wants the opportunity to sign up whenever they want, but that puts so much pressure on the guys running the events. Like I said, last year we sat there looking at events too, going, man, I don't know. I don't know what's about to happen here, and you get a surge at the end. We've talked about it in the director's chat a bunch too this year about, it seems like a lot of registrations coming in last minute, even for regionals.
Oh, you had one that your team's doubled in the last 3 days.
In the last 3 days, yeah, we went from having like 9 teams to selling it out in 3 days.
Yeah.
But what people don't understand is maybe sometimes you have a cost to running these venues, and it's not always cheap. And maybe by not registering, you may be causing some events to be canceled. I think maybe capping out registration maybe is an idea. Get the people that want to be there and don't want to wait till the last minute, that want to get out and support the program. Maybe that's something to look at going forward.
I love it, actually. You cap it at 60 teams. You don't sign up, you're not involved. And or maybe it's 70 teams or whatever, and we go from there. And that way, the director doesn't have to find these absolutely giant spaces like we had at the
I
Lindsay
think
Fairground.
if a lot of people really knew the cost of some of these buildings, I think it would be pretty shocking to some of these people. We like I can only
Yeah,
reference what we went through. We made a call on probably 20 buildings. Asking prices, insanity. So
yeah,
um, yeah, maybe that's something we look at where we're running one in the north, one in the south, but it's capped.
yeah.
We cap it to help out whoever's running the conference, whether it be Adam continuing to do it or somebody else is at the helm. Maybe that's something that can help out everybody.
Yeah, and then if you want to go, then you register the day it opens, right?
Yeah, you get in there.
That's it. Yeah, no. People are definitely waiting to the last minute to sign up. I'm on a non-stop pressure train from the moment I open registration because I get anxiety that it's not going
I
to fill
check
up.
mine like daily.
So I was talking to
Like,
Matt. I was talking to Matt today because I was checking some of the brackets from my from my regional next weekend, and he's like, "Well, why even?" And there was an error, so I told him about it. He's like, "Well, why even checking that? You don't like surprises?" I'm like, "I check this stuff because this is the reason. Because in case I find something, and I'm not gonna have a problem on event day." And then he's like, "The only time I check registration is when when I ask." I'm like, "The only time I check it is 7 or 8 times a day.
yeah,
I know exactly how much money is in my wallet all the time. So if it changes, I know someone's registered." Like, it's a little mental, but I mean, like my event next weekend is I'm at a school with 12 sets of boards, so I mean I can't really sell out. Honestly, I could have more teams than I'm gonna get, so it's not as stressful. And I mean the venue is pretty inexpensive. But my only thing was, okay, am I gonna run, because I only own 10 sets of boards, so am I gonna run 10 or am I gonna run 12? I got to 24 teams. Okay, I'll run like a six game. I'll run a six-game rounders, and I can have everyone doing it in one round, right? So
yep.
just to borrow a couple sets of boards. A bunch of my players have the ACL Canada board, so they'll lend them to me for the day just to run the 12 sets. But that's the only thing for me really, is just trying to figure that out.
Yeah, I think it's for a lot of the directors, like, you got to make sure your numbers are there. There's just expenses tied to this. It's not, everything is not free, whether
No,
that be boards,
everything is expensive.
tablets, you know, all of it. So yeah, if you're thinking about
And it's
playing in tournaments,
nonstop.
sign up. Don't wait till the last minute.
Yeah, I mean this is a
You're
public
putting the
service
pressure
announcement.
on your local director.
That's right. You know what? And I think we'll leave it at that. If you're thinking about playing a regional, sign up. If you're in the Niagara region, sign up
How
for
about
Geoff Colbert's event this
get
weekend.
it going? Yeah, come on, let's
If
go.
you're in Eastern Ontario, sign up for a Linz. If you're in Southwestern, sign up for Delhi. Sign up right now. If you're thinking about playing, sign up right now. Don't stress these guys out. If you want to play an event in 3 weeks, registration's open. Sign up.
Get in there. Yeah, Drummondville, sign up. Let's
Sign
go.
up. Let's go. Okay, so are you playing in Drummondville or what?
No,
I'll see you there.
I'm not going.
You are going.
100%. I'm out.
Nyan, today's going to come pick you up. He doesn't want to drive
I don't
by
want to hang
himself.
out with Nyan. I'm not sitting in a car with Nyan for 8 hours.
Oh, that'd be so fun.
No, won't be in Drummondville.
We'll see about that. Okay, we will do this again next week, next Thursday as well.
All right,
Okay,
sounds good.
Rammer, have a good week,
All
man.
right. See you guys.